Helsinki is an awesome city for public transportation. A brand new light rail line, a metro system, and commuter trains are some of the popular options. But the city center is the domain of a dense, interesting and rapidly growing tram system. So let's check it out. The first trams in the Finnish capital appeared in 1890, when horse-drawn trams were tested. The opening for passenger operation occurred in 1891. The service was so popular that the capacity of the horse-drawn trams quickly was proven insufficient. However, it took until 1900 before the electrification was completed. In the years that followed, the network grew quickly and reached its largest size in 1930. Up to 1945, the tram system was privately owned, until it was incorporated into the municipal transport company. Growth of the network stagnated in the 1950s and 1960s. Cars, buses and a metro were planned, confining trams to the city center in a sprawling city. Politicians of the 1960s even foresaw the tram system disappearing by the 2000s. Luckily, they did not get their way, and in the 1970s, this was off the table. The network started growing again. Short and smart extensions ensured better connections to trip generators, such as ferry terminals, new development areas and train stations. This wave is continuing, with some bolder plans being under construction by now. The newest section that was opened is Line 13, in August of this year. This so-called Kalasatama line brings us to the network of today. This is the city center tram network of Helsinki. The total network is around 55 kilometers long, and it uses a gauge of 1000 millimeters, better known as meter gauge. The trams have 600 volts DC overhead wires, but this might be upgraded to 750 volts in the future. There are 2 depots on the network for storage of trams, and there's 1 depot for maintenance. Let's now take a look at the individual lines. We start with line 1 between Eira and Käppylä, followed by line 1T, which runs between Länsi-terminaali 2 and Käppylä. Line 2 runs between Messukeskus and Olympiaterminaali. Line 3 runs between Olympiaterminaali and Meilahti. It is important to know that in Helsinki some lines are attached to each other, which is the case with Line 2 and Line 3, as Olympiaterminaali doesn't have a turning loop. Moving on to Line 4, between Munkkiniemi and Katajanokka. Line 5 between Rautatieasema and Katajanokkan terminaali. It is important to know that Line 5 only runs when there is a ferry at that terminal. Line 6 runs between Eiranranta and Arabia. Line 7, Meilahden sairaala to Länsi-terminaali 2. Line 8, Arabia to Jätkäsaari. Followed by Line 8T, Arabia to Länsi-terminaali 2. Line 9, Ilmala to Länsi-terminaali 2. Line 10, Pikku-Roppalahti to Kirurgi. Moving on to the brand new Line 13, Länsi-Passila to Nihti. And to not forget Line 15, the Jokeri Light Rail, which runs between Keilaniemi and Itäkeskus. As you can see, it is isolated from the rest of the network, but in the future this might change. More about that later. This video about the Helsinki tram system is part of an already 38 episode long series of videos of transport systems. I would love to show you many more in the future. Therefore, it would be really helpful if you like my video and subscribe to my channel. Let's now take a look at the tram fleet. Helsinki does not have the most diverse tram fleet in the world, but the types in the cities are interesting nonetheless. The oldest type is the unidirectional Valmet MLNRV 1, of which there are only 9 active nowadays. In 2013, they received a low-floor middle section, bringing them to 3 sections. These trams were originally delivered between 1973 and 1975, making some of them over 50 years old. Somewhat later, between 1983 and 1987, the MLNRV-2s were delivered by Valmet and Strömberg. They are very similar to their older counterparts, with the only notable difference being their tail lights. The MLNRV-2s were also extended with a low-floor middle section, which happened between 2006 and 2011. For a while, Helsinki used to operate the Vario tram type by Atrans, which became later Bombardier. However, this was not long-lived. The geography of the network, with steep gradients and sharp curves, as well as technical issues, caused them to be withdrawn in 2018. In 2015, the Škoda Transtech Artic joined the fleet, which was partially based on a design by the Helsinki Transport Authority itself. The 3-section unidirectional trams are now the most numerous, with 70 trams. The final tram type active in Helsinki, although not yet on the city network, is the Škoda Transtech Artic X54, which is a 5-section bidirectional tram. It serves the Jokeri Light Rail, although more of these are ordered to serve future tram lines, of which more in a bit. For now, let's take a look at the ridership. In 2023, 44.1 million people use the tram system of Helsinki, which is around 121,000 passengers per day. This is not the highest amount perhaps, given the number of lines operated on the network, although for the most part the tram system serves the city center. More remote areas are served by the trains, metro, buses and Jokeri Light Rail, but I guess in the upcoming years this ridership will increase. The system is expanding, connecting to parts of the cities that relied on buses before, or which are new developments, which brings us to the future. Helsinki has a lot of plans for its tram system, and it is truly awesome to see that the city is planning so many extensions and new lines. With the very fresh Jokeri Light Rail and the even more recent Kalasatama line being opened, the next network extensions are already under construction. The extension that catches the eye is the Crown Bridges project, which connects the island of Laajasalo to the network. To achieve this connection, 3 bridges are needed, of which one will be the longest in Finland at 1.2 kilometers. This project should be completed by 2027. 2 more projects are approved as well. The project which is likely to be completed first is the Vantaa Light Rail project. This will connect the separate city of Vantaa and Helsinki Airport to the metro station Merlumäki. We will likely see this line being completed in 2030. This line will for the time being not directly connect to any other tram route. Another project that has been approved is the West-Helsinki Light Rail, which will extend the city's network to the northwest of Helsinki. It will also connect to the Jokeri Light Rail line, as well as 2 train stations, and end at the district Kannomäki. Construction likely starts in 2026, with estimated completion in 2031. And I do not think it will stop with that. The Helsinki Regional Transport Authority has released this map, which foresees even more lines. Given the success that Finland has with building these lines, it seems the country has momentum on its side. And that's it for the tram system of Helsinki. Click here for my video about the metro system of Helsinki. As always, thank you very much for watching.